Elmo is innocent along with Mick Boo, and they are fraternal twins. So trainers, again, you are not seeing double. You do not have to adjust your television set. We do have fraternal twins on the screen today.
And I mean, they're twins a little bit in some of their picks as well, but mostly looks like that, like you just talked about before, that double Gator pick with that shadow Feraligatr on both teams, as well as the Skeledirge. But other than that, I'm seeing a very interesting pick there as well, something that we don't see in very many tournaments, and that is a Goodra.
Yeah, 2-0 Butters is sitting watching this tournament and pumping his fists into the air. 2-0 Butters, one of our fellow casters, absolutely loves finding those interesting off-meta picks, that spice, and Goodra is currently the Pokemon. He made leaderboards, I believe, with Goodra this season for Go Battle League. He really believes in the power of this Pokemon. Goodra is really interesting with Dragon Breath, Aqua Tail, and it has Power Whip, which is what I really think makes it so versatile, because there's virtually no grass in this meta at all. So any Pokemon like Cresselia, like Lickitung, that can have that charge attack pressure of that grass type is really interesting.
Shut the tough you know, against the and how.
Yes, they're lines on those.
That's interesting. It doesn't give Feraligatr as much play against the water type that is very threatening to it. Lantern, especially with the, you know, how much that spark damage can also do to it. But, I mean, I think it's also trying to target those potential flyers, maybe those Altarias that are coming in that definitely don't want to be facing the Ice Beam from it.
Yes, they definitely do not want to be frozen out. Let's go ahead and take a look at our screen. We have Elmo is innocent on the left, McBoo on the right. I see a Skeledirge mirror double team. Let's go.
You can see it on both of their faces as well. I also wonder if they know which one of these two will win charge attack priority. I think maybe this is a good indication as McBoo completely shifts out, getting that Goodra now caught onto the Wigglytuff. But you know what, Tifei? This is maybe a little bit in Elmo's plan, because this is what we call an ABB team. So he has that Mandibuzz in the back that also doesn't want to be seeing this Wigglytuff. Being able to align this now, getting a little bit of chip damage, he's going to get a lot of farm now on the Skeledirge that's going to come back in.
Yeah, so so Elmo here is, I agree, Elmo is able to avoid the Mandibuzz matchup, but look what else McBoo has in the back, that Charge-a-Bug. This really is looking good for McBoo.
Yeah, completely now in the driver's seat, and I think that he knows it as well. They probably practiced these lines a bit before. Wigglytuff now at its charge attack. Neither one of these are going to be doing that much to this Pokemon, as you can see, not very effective. Meanwhile, Skeledirge just completely, fully fast attacking down those Incinerates, just burning through Wigglytuff here. But what's going to come in at this point? Is it going to be that, yeah, it's going to be the Skeledirge already do this fully loaded Skeledirge. It's so dangerous here. Will he use a shield? Does he think he's baiting? No shield. Last second shield here.
Yeah, you can see them talking to each other like, what are you doing? Are you baiting? Are you not? So I love that banter, and it is so much fun to see those smiles. But what is not smiling right now is this Mandibuzz. Look at how much each one of those Volt switches is doing. We are going to see Elmo is innocent. Elmo is going to be throwing the charge attack, trying to just start to whittle down against this Charge-a-Bug, throwing Dark Pulse. Doesn't even take it down to half health.
No, it does put it into the yellow, and it will be able to throw another one, because McBoo is not even throwing its charge attack yet. Going ahead and letting this go through, it's going to get desperately low, but there is a ton of energy here now throwing this discharge. It's going to be doing a lot to this Mandibuzz, even though it is bulky. This is super effective, and it looks like we're about to see how much it does, bringing it down to the red here. And will he be able to get to another one before? No, going for the less expensive but less effective X-Scissor here to knock the Mandibuzz out of the sky and securing the Fool Hole here in a pretty good spot overall.
Yeah, and then one Incinerate is going to knock that Charge-a-Bug out, and now we are back to where we started. We have come full circle to see the Skeledirge, and we see Elmo's innocent.
Tifei! This unprotected Shadow Ball knocks out the other one, and Elmo is innocent despite the rough mid-game matchups, despite getting the Mandibuzz locked on the Charge-a-Bug and also the Goodra locked on the Wigglytuff, ending up taking that with that risky call of going with the Shadow Ball at the end.
Oh my goodness, wanting to call the bait, saying this is only going to be a disarming voice. You have to burn the ball. Very the mirror match swapping into that Gudra, into that very disadvantageous Wigglytuff matchup.
Yeah, I think this is honestly maybe just Elmo's whole plan here. Recognizing the fact if I can get all of this energy on my Skeledirge, it can basically ramp up and almost become unstoppable. And McBoo playing this very well, knowing when he wants to throw his attacks. It gets very clunky sometimes if you have like a 4-turn Volt Switch versus a 3-turn Snarl, or also these 5-turn Incinerates. There's a lot of mathematics to be taking account for here, and just a call at the end, this 50-50 call ended up giving the Elmo is Innocent that game #1 win.
Yeah, so we're going to have to see how these trainers are going to adapt. What are they going to change here? Because we saw the Skeledirge mirror. Are they going to stick to a Skeledirge mirror in the beginning, or are they going to try to make a switch? That ABB team for Elmo ended up really working out in the end. And here we have an interesting matchup, not one you see every day. Shadow Feraligatr into Registeel. Shadow Feraligatr going to be able to apply a lot of pressure, getting to Hydro Cannon so quickly with that fast attack of Shadow Claw.
Yeah, Shadow Claw paces so quickly here, and these Hydro Cannons are going to be doing so much damage to the Registeel, already all in the yellow here, but the Registeel has so much. You see, he tried to wait a turn there just to see if they would end up swapping out, and if he does not protect shield, this Feraligatr is going down. McBoo using that first one there to go ahead and secure that up, and getting the attack drop, I feel. Yep, an attack fall, and now coming into the Feraligatr mirror. They both know they're just running Hydro Cannon and Ice Beam. Neither one is going to be that effective.
Yes, and McBoo can safely bring in this Wigglytuff now that the Registeel is out. It is switch locked away. The Feraligatr is stuck here. So McBoo's thinking, I have to use this Feraligatr, or I have to use my Wigglytuff at some point. This seems like a really good opportunity. I don't want it locked on the Registeel later.
But getting this last shield here, he wanted to charm down completely. Wants to try to keep that switch, that alignment that he was looking for. He will be able to do so because the Shadow Claws do pretty much nothing to this normal type Pokemon. And now the Registeel, I think, right, this is going to have to be coming back in. That Mandibuzz wants nothing to do with the Wigglytuff, especially when there's so much energy on it already.
Yeah, and you can see just them laughing. I think, that, again, they kind of know. They've probably seen these teams before. They've probably team built together. They've probably practiced together. So we see Elmo going to throw that Focus Blast to get some good, strong neutral damage, knock off the Wigglytuff. And here we have a Shadow Gligar, and there is that Mandibuzz coming in. A Mandibuzz with 2 shields? Amanda, that just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, I mean, this Dark Pulse is going through. No protections raining on McBoo's side. We're going to see how much damage this does to that Shadow Gligar, barely bringing it down to the yellow here, just getting up a ton of energy in the meantime. This is going to be an uphill battle here. However, it looks like he's still going for it. He wants the Aerial Ace. It is the more effective attack. It is going to slowly start chipping away at that Mandibuzz. They're going to be able to get to another one before the Mandibuzz is even close to another Dark Pulse.
And here is that Aerial Ace. And also, let's go. I can see it on the screen. And again, still 2 shields to hide behind, probably saving them all for that Feraligatr. Knowing that the Feraligatr is going to be able to do nothing in terms of fast attack pressure, going to be relying heavily on Hydro Cannons.
Yeah, I don't know if this was a mistake here, D5, because Elmo's Innocent is now forced to use a shield. He went for the Aerial Ace instead, not quite enough to knock out that Gligar, and now forcing a swap here. This Feraligatr is loaded. Hydro Cannon now coming through. Does he want to use his last Protect Shield? He feels like he has to at this point.
Yeah, because that Registeel, again, there's no fast attack pressure. And we have a charge attack priority. Feraligatr is going to win that 10 times out of 10. And this Hydro Cannon is going to come through and wash away the Mandibuzz off of the field of play. There is the Registeel, and it just does not have a chance. Feraligatr being able to Shadow Claw down. And Amanda, we have a tie game.
We have a tie game. We have the Twins with a tie game going on in our round #1 in Los Angeles. I'm thinking this is pretty interesting. Very well played by both opponents there. I just want to bring up one thing that we did see sort of near the end of that. We saw the Registeel and the Feraligatr, or I mean the Mandibuzz and the Feraligatr, and they both got to their charge attack at the same time, even though there was 2 loaded. Like you said, that Feraligatr, because it has a higher attack, will always be able to put that charge attack off first. And so that really put him in an advantageous position. This was also a very interesting point. Being able to shield that Wigglytuff, even though he knows that Registeel is coming in, was big there, getting that alignment that he was looking for.
Yes, that alignment was so crucial when you're up against something like a Registeel. alignment is key. So there is that where you talked about again, that charge attack priority, and then the Feraligatr being able to use Shadow Claw to knock out the Registeel before it was able to get to its next charge attack. We now have that tie game. We saw both Skeledirge
I think we have potential to probably see it here as well.
Being able to a phenomenal the Lickitung. This heavily favors the man. Throws one charm, get one. So a phenomenal lead for that Skeledirge. This is exactly what it wants to see in the Wigglytuff. Charm's not going to be very effective. McBoo throws one charm, get one charm, a little bit of energy, and then swapping out into the secondary matchup with the Mandibuzz and the Lickitung. This heavily favors the Mandibuzz because Lickitung's fast attack of Lick is resisted against the dark type Mandibuzz. We have a battle of the bulk. Not exactly a twin matchup yet, but both these trainers are picking up their bulkiest pick right now.
We did talk about this earlier. A lot of people like to use Lickitung as that pivot Pokemon, but when there's so many dark type Pokemon, so many things that can really just play to the advantage against it, it's almost dangerous at this point here. Body Slam coming through, but that Mandibuzz is still going to be in the yellow. One thing I do want to bring up about this team, Elmo is Innocent's team, is a Skeledirge, a Feraligatr, and a Mandibuzz. This is a very dangerous team to be playing when there is a Charge-a-Bug on the other person's team. Luckily for him, no Charge-a-Bug in sight for this decisive Game 3. Lickitung just continuing to lick away here, throwing another Body Slam right before the next Aerial Ace is reached.
Right, but Mandibuzz doesn't have to worry about it. It is so bulky. The Body Slam, even though it is same type attack bonus, doesn't even take the Mandibuzz down into the red, and it can comfortably get to more charged attacks to be able to potentially knock out this Lickitung. McBoo says there is no use trying to drag this out. I'm going to let the Lickitung go, but Elmo still has energy on that Mandibuzz for whatever is coming in next. And bringing in that Wigglytuff, it's going to take 1-2 more charms in order to knock out the Mandibuzz. So Mandibuzz is going to let go of all of that charge attack pressure here.
Yeah, not much pressure, as you can see. That Wigglytuff still in the green, handling it like a pro. And we're going to see an immediate swap out here into the Feraligatr. But there's already some energy loaded onto the Skeledirge. Feraligatr paces quickly, but it's also what we call kind of squishy in the Great League, forcing now to use at least one shield. Doesn't want to be like in that first time scenario when it gets taken out by a Shadow Ball. Unfortunately for him, this was just a Shadow Claw bait, and now we're in a Feraligatr mirror match.
Yes, but now McBoo's Feraligatr has a bit of an advantage because it has so much energy. All of these charge attacks are going to be resisted, but you are going to see, because Feraligatr, like you said, it's squishy, it can't really take a hit. You're going to start to see how much a resisted Hydro Cannon is going to do here, which is going to be significant.
Yeah, we might not actually even see it if you look at that. Both shields have now been used. Now Hydro Cannon coming through. Will McBoo want to use his last shield here? Yes, he does. He is ahead on energy like we talked about. Will he be able to reach another one? No, it looks like a double back-to-back here from Elmo is Innocent. Firing this off. I think this might be enough, even though it's like you said, it's resisted. This Shadow Claws afterwards is going to be able to completely knock it out, putting Elmo is Innocent in a very, very dominant position.
Yeah, and able to get to another Hydro Cannon to be able to put some significant damage onto the Wigglytuff. I am just loving the smiles here between these two twin trainers. Look at how low the Wigglytuff is now. The Skeledirge can come in very safely, throw and Incinerate. We're going to see the charge attack come off from the Wigglytuff, but this is resisted damage from the Disarming Voice, and after the charge attack was thrown, the Incinerate damage was felt, it was calculated, and now we have the win here to Elmo is Innocent.
Elmo maybe not so innocent here, taking down his brother in a commanding fashion. We'll go ahead and go through those matchups there. Like we talked about earlier, I think the beginning matchup was just kind of a showcase of what we see often in like Go Battle League and the Show 6 Pick 3 format, these ABB lineups that are pretty common. Using like a lead Pokemon with two Pokemon weak to the similar one in the back really worked out to his advantage, even though he got basically counterplayed through the whole game. It just shows you gotta keep trying, you gotta keep going. Consistency pays off.
Yes, that we can see why that is such a powerful winning type of lineup, both in the Go Battle League and being able to utilize it here in the Show 6 Pick 3 format. And again, I really loved the twin theme, the Skeledirge Mirror Lead to start. We saw both Feraligatrs facing off at several points here during the matchups. Something I noticed as well, the Cresselia never made an appearance on Elmo's team. We've been seeing Cresselia be so dominant throughout many different regional tournaments, especially recently, but not to be seen at all in this play. Maybe just too afraid of that Charjabug, of that Feraligatr, of the Skeledirge.
Yeah.
It seemed like McBoo was really built to that team to be able to scare that Cresselia away.
I think so as well. I mean, Cresselia is one of those Pokemon, it's like really pretty good against the Annihilate, although if Annihilate even has energy, it's not even that good for it anymore either. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna look at some highlights of that very last matchup that we just had between Elmo and McBoo.
And taking a look, we are going to be taking a look first at that opening match. Oh, there we have that third matchup, the one we had most recently. And we were just talking about how Mandibuzz is becoming a little bit more popular, both Mandibuzz and Umbreon being able to counter, being able to be a really good counter to Lickitung.
Yeah, you can see here, I love the expressions that they're having with each other. They're laughing with each other. I assume that they have been scrimmaging against each other this whole time as well. Being able to know, okay, if he leads this, most likely this Pokemon is in the back. It really worked to an advantage of Elmo, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to play for the rest of this tournament as well. Is he going to be able to use the same strategy against other opponents who he maybe hasn't had as much practice against?
I am looking forward to that as well. So again, congratulations to Elmo is Innocent for moving on in the winner's bracket. I'd kind of like to continue talking more about how dominant Cresselia has been.
Sure.
Because of and about its move preference as well. Because we've been seeing a lot of Cresselia running that Future Sight. Moonblast used to be the only answer.
Right.
Nobody ran Future Sight a while back, but now we're starting to see Future Sight Cresselia. But again, not here on Elmo's team. That McBoo just built a team too strong against it.
Yeah, I prefer, I think if I was playing in this actual meta, to be running Moonblast instead of Future Sight, just because there's so many dragons that are starting to make a reappearance. Because we have seen so much Lickitung in the past, I know people get almost sick of this Pokemon sticking its tongue out at everyone. There's been so many counters that are now being brought in. We saw Vigoroth, like we talked about a little bit earlier in the broadcast, Vigoroth is on the downslope. But we've seen Guzzlords coming in now, which are going to really do well countering Lickitungs. We've seen Mandibuzz, we've seen Umbreon. Cresselia being able to hit back at these Pokemon, these Dark or Dragon types with the Moonblast is going to be very advantageous for it.
Something that we are very advantageous to have coming up here is an interview with Jim with Elmo is Innocent. I'm excited to hear what Jim has to say, what Elmo is Innocent has to say about that fantastic matchup. Go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Stephanie. Not only am I here with Elmo is Innocent, I'm also here with McBoo as well. We got both of their brothers here from, I believe, New York and Hawaii.
Traditionally, when I think of Pokemon Go PvP traditionally, I
think you're
Los Angeles,
and now we're going to jump right into game number 1 here. Not only do we have a Guzzlord, we have a shiny Guzzlord here against the Mandibuzz, looking to claw its way up to the sky and drag this Pokemon down.
Yes, I love how far, look at how far back on Mudkip's side of the screen that the camera has to pull just to get the Guzzlord into the field of vision of the battlefield. And it's a shiny best buddy Guzzlord. Clearly this is a Pokemon that Mudkip has spent a lot of time with.
Yes, it's wonderful. He's trained up to be able to play in this Pokemon Championship Series. Dragonclaw coming through now onto the Mandibuzz. And this matchup is very advantageous for the Guzzlord because these Dragon Tails are doing a lot to the Mandibuzz. Meanwhile, Mandibuzz has to rely solely on its charge attack of Aerial Ace to be doing damage at all to this Dragon and Dark type Pokemon.
Yeah, and we are going to see these two titans of Pokemon, these two very strong Dark types, continuing to just try to chip away at each other with their charge attacks. We see another Dragonclaw coming through, finally knocking this Mandibuzz down into the red. And here comes another Aerial Ace. Let's see what this is setting up in the back, because we have stayed in this lead matchup, but we still have that Registeel and Superior behind Panto. And here we have Mudkip's actually switching in, maybe trying to get the counter down on that Mandibuzz, but it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, he's trying to, I think, go ahead and counter it down. Unfortunately, still taking an Aerial Ace, super effective, still in the green, just barely though. And now the Superior is coming in, and I think if you're Panto, you're feeling pretty good because that Registeel is now going to most likely avoid the Annihilate in total. Night Slash coming through here and getting that first Protect Shield from Pancho's side.
Yeah, Pancho probably, though, wants that Superior there to protect against the Shadow Swamper.
Oh, using it, and there's the boost! There is the boost. We might see this last protection shield being used up, as this is super effective attack, enough to knock the Annihilate down. Wants to be able to get as much damage off as possible. As you can see, Night Slash already stored. Going for a couple more counters before throwing the next, and Panto says, yep, okay, that's exactly where I'm using my shield as well. This Registeel cannot face a boosted Annihilate.
No, it cannot. So we're going to use that Aerial Ace. We're going to knock out the Annihilate. And the Superior is still pretty healthy. It's still at about half health. So we are going to see the Registeel swap in. And there it is, the Shadow Swampert with all shields down. Swampert is going to be able to get to that devastating Earthquake. This is a Shadow Swampert, so being able to get to this Focus Blast quickly. It doesn't knock out though, and there's just no fast attack pressure coming from the Registeel. Mudkip can even over farm safely before throwing the Earthquake.
Yes, Mudkip or Swampert now turning into a bit of a farmer here, getting a little bit of extra energy as he sees Earthquake. Enough to knock it out. Hydro Cannon to spare. Now this is not going to be a very effective against a grass type Pokemon. However, this shadow damage, just being able to get this off is going to be putting it so desperately low, and a combination play with the Dragon Claw to finish it off.
Wow, Mudkip set that up so nicely. I am really excited to take a look at the replays of that match. The Superior goes down game 1 with a little pet to the buddy Mudkip, saying thank you, and thank you to your big brother Shadow Swampert for being an MVP right there in that matchup. Again, because even though it's a Shadow Swampert, that Focus Blast does not knock it out. It doesn't even knock it out to be able to get within a few lock-ons down, so that Swampert able to comfortably go to the Earthquake, build up to be able to throw the Hydro Cannon into the Superior as well.
Yeah, this matchup at the beginning was sort of, you know, like a lot of times it's not necessarily you win lead, you win game, because this interesting pivot kind of almost put Mudkip on the back foot there, being able to swap that Annihilate in and almost completely avoid the Registeel. Lucky for him, wonderful energy management, knew that he had a charge attack stored, knew that he'd be able to knock out that Superior at the end to be able to take game number 1. And, you know, Mudkip the player looking calm and collected on the screen, meanwhile Mudkip the Pokemon all smiles.
Yes. So, and I love that quill pen too. Looks like, you know, taking a Noctowl feather or something, or a Mandibuzz feather perhaps, to be able to write notes with. Mudkip, you know, rocking today in style.
My goodness. So if you're Pancho, want to pick that because Registeel played out that,
like, what is, because it's just Lantern has to dip out immediately, and here we have the Annihilate. Panto being able to comfortably throw this Frenzy Plant before Mudkip is able to get to a Shadow Ball.
Yeah, wants to do what we call like a chip and dip, but that is a huge chip, and I think if you're Panther, you're saying maybe I'll just stay in at this point. Already had a Shadow Ball, and actually protecting this up, recognizing its superior positioning here in this matchup here, being able to almost completely take out the Annihilate. Going to be doing so well against that Lantern too. Taking out basically 2 Pokemon. Now will it be able to, I mean, obviously I think the Altaria is going to come in, but the switch timers are misaligned, and we'll have to see how these two trainers want to play out that matchup. Mudkip waiting patiently till that timer goes down to 0 before bringing in Altaria, and wow, Panto just staying and getting basically 100 energy swapping into that Feraligatr.
Yeah, and here we have the Feraligatr running Ice Beam as well to really be able to threaten the Altaria, who could arguably be the king of the skies right now, up there in the clouds. But there we have that Lantern coming back in, and the Feraligatr just doesn't have anything because it has the Ice Beam to be able to threaten something like the Altaria. It doesn't have Crunch to be able to put any damage on this Lantern.
I like this play though by Pancho, not shielding up the Sky attack, recognizing that this is not Feraligatr's matchup because he saw that Lantern in the lead. He just wants to get this out of the way. The switch, since the switch timers are misaligned, he'll be able to now line up that Superior against the Lantern. The Superior is kind of low, however, none of the charge attacks from Lantern will be able to do that much damage to it, and now it's Pancho's time to wait out that timer, going 2-1, bringing in that Superior, and basically going to go ahead and get a not very effective Thunderbolt. But will it be enough at this low health?
Oh, it is, I think it is definitely going to be enough. Oh my goodness, it stayed on with 1!
Barely, what do we call 1 HP energy and being able to throw this frenzy play
台湾
and
现在是
eating
还
the
不能
shield
打，
as
是不
well.
是？是只
Mudkip
有
has no idea what's in the
国外
back
才
and
能
he
够
wants to be able to see
抓
that,
那只
see
星
if it's going to be
星的
actually
头。
good alignment here. I mean, the mud shots here are going to be adding up. They're super effective, but this surf is the damage that's going to be heavier hitting against Lantern, forcing that last shield off of Panto here. They want to keep this Clodsire as healthy as possible. We got a Stone Edge for the Altaria, but will this be enough? It's going to be an uphill climb for this bulky poison and ground type Pokemon.
Yeah, because one Stone Edge is not enough to knock out. So you need to throw a Stone Edge to take the shield, and you need 2 Stone Edges to be able to knock out the Altaria, because Mudshot is doing absolutely no damage to this Altaria. So you need 2 Stone Edges, and you have to be able to take out the Lantern. This is a tough hill to climb for Clodsire.
Although, if you're Clodsire, you're saying, okay, fine, Altaria, these are the attacks that I want to be taking. Sky Attack's not going to be doing that much because of the ground typing, and Moonblast would not be doing that much because of the poison typing, forcing Mudkip to at least throw to try to get some chip damage. It does bring that Clodsire into the yellow, which I think is Mudkip's goal here. Wants to be able to get it in surf range, but will he be able to before the next Stone Edge is reached? It's going to be a race, and if he does even hit it, will it be enough to take out the Clodsire? It's 1 spark away, 2 sparks away. He's hit it!
And there it is. This is a super effective surf against the
他刚刚是不是没有在
Clodsire.
算那个？
Yupancho
为什么
grinning,
他
thinking maybe, but no, the Clodsire is taken out. I was so surprised.
不是刚刚那边那个土王为什么打那个谁？打那个七星鸟不多呢？还是好
I
像
thought,
有
I'm
点
like,
难。
okay, it is
我不知道。
Thunderbolt, it is same type attack bonus. I don't,
热水和
and
泥巴。
Superior, not necessarily the bulkiest
哦
Pokemon in
你要记得我忘记鲶鱼是不是有社群技吗？还是没有？如果有社群技，你不要洗到，不然到时候洗不回来。提醒一下，我不确定，因为我没有鲶鱼，但我当初看好像有吗？忘记了，你自己小心一点。
the world. I thought for sure it was going to knock out there. I was
To play with Pokemon. Oh, I didn't get this moment.
Yep, and that again is something that
Speaking of regional champions,
European Internet, London,
没有，
other champion in his own right.
yeah, I mean, Weedle was
那就没差，你就随便洗了。如果
to
没有的话，你
pilot
就随
Skeledirge
便
to the 6. Just tuning in, we are in winners round.
But we still have the North American Internet.
Yet, but yes,
I heard
exactly happened. Panto asked for a review because the
不用改，
Superior
继
had
续
a
用。
one-turn
请问
lag
主
into the
播
Lantern,
放读录
and
下来
that
可
he
以
would
怎么
have
打？
actually won the charge attack priority on that move. It looks like it was reviewed, and that is what would have happened, causing this replay. So again, yes, if you're a trainer and you, I mean, worst case scenario, you were wrong, right? The worst case scenario, it's maybe not something that's rematchable, but at least you brought it to the attention of someone who can actually, make a decision on the call for you and keep things as fair as possible.
And we have such a
你塞几
fantastic
只不
team
同
of
属性的
wonderful
强的
Pokemon
就
who go.
应
We
该
are
就蛮
so
强。
fortunate to
可以
have
塞
such
那
a
个
great
充电宝
team，
我充电宝
of
应该蛮强。
passionate and knowledgeable judges. So go out there and thank a judge. But thank you, trainers, for sticking in with us. Let's go ahead and go into this rematch. We have
可以充电宝
Clodsire into
胖
Altaria,
嘟
and
嘟
the
跟
score overall 1-0
鳄鱼
in
或
favor
那
of
图文剧情，
Mudkip.
Yeah,
感觉
that's
这样
right.
蛮
When it's a replay, you don't have to play the same Pokemon. It's a completely blank slate. Trying to catch a Stone Edge, which would not have been doing too much to the Annihilate. But now Panto coming in with a Mandibuzz of his own. And this is actually pretty great because a lot of times Annihilates nowadays, they're running Night Slash and Shadow Ball. Neither one are very effective against the Mandibuzz. Only the counter damage is going to be doing anything. However, both Aerialist and Dark Pulse will be doing a nice chunk of damage to this fighting type Pokemon. Going ahead and letting this first one go through. We're about to see how much an Aerialist does. Super effective damage, bringing that Annihilate down to the yellow.
Yeah, Annihilate just can't really do too much here. It's really relying on what it really wants to have happen is have a boost, be able to get that Night Slash boost, and be able to do more damage with counter. But that is just not going to happen for Mudkips here.
Yeah, going ahead, charging up a lot of energy on Panto's side. Going to have to take another Night Side Slash, but still not going to be able to knock it out of the skies. Probably won't even be able to knock it into the red. And meanwhile, just going ahead, snarling away. One more aerial ace being thrown here, and Mudkip deciding to let the Annihilate go. And Panto has gained that switch that he wanted, as well as having a lot of energy on the Mandibuzz. You can see him giving a kind of a cheeky look at the camera here, as now the Swampert comes in.
Yes, and Swampert, once it has energy, is dangerous, but it is going to have to get through this Mandibuzz first. Again, no fast attack pressure coming from the Swampert. It's relying on its charged attacks. It's going to be building up. It's past a little bit past the Hydro Cannon now. One is easily going to knock Mandibuzz out, so Pancho has to decide, do I want to keep this Mandibuzz around? And no! Mandibuzz falls from the sky, and it is aligned now with the Superior. And here is a matchup we just became more familiar with. Quad's Iron versus Altaria, but using in the first shield here.
Yeah, 2 shields to go. We kind of saw this happen before. The Dragon Breath damage is going to be like slowly adding up on this bulky Clodsire. And it looks like Panto wants to be able to keep the Clodsire as healthy as possible. He knows that there is no hope for the Superior against Altaria here. And he has to do the damage with this Clodsire. Getting a ton of energy, throwing 1 for 100 here. Another Stunage going through, getting that last Protect Shield from Mudkip. It's not over yet, DeFi.
It is not. We still have these 2 very bulky Pokemon on the field. Clodsire still has 1 shield to its name, but that Dragon Breath damage slowly whittling it down, where the same can't be said for the Altaria. It is still looking fresh, bright-eyed, and fluffy-winged up there in the sky, even though it's been sitting in this matchup for a long time.
And speaking of long time, the switch timers are about up as well. So if you're Panto, you kind of have to be wary that there could be a potential catch on that Mudkip for that Shadow Swampert, and we'll be able to reach it. Looks like he was trying to go for it, but switch timer not quite up yet. The Stone Edge will be able to align, and it looks like this could be enough to knock that Altaria right out of the sky.
And it is super effective, and it goes down, and there is the Superior. And even though the Swampert was at a Hydro Cannon, Mudkip's recognizing, I can throw this, but it's not even going to be close to enough. And now we have a tie game, Amanda. We're going to be walking into a decisive game number 3.
I love to see it. I know it's harder for the trainers, a lot more pressure, but it's great for us watching the stream. One question I have for you, I didn't really see on your cast predictions, was Mandibuzz one of your choices? Because I know it was one of Speedy's Chiefs' choices in Indianapolis, and I'm starting to become a Mandibuzz believer here in Los Angeles.
No, I am an Altaria girl through and through. I use it all the time personally in Show 6 Pick 3. It is one of my favorite Pokemon to use, and it's just been consistent for such a long time. Did not work out well for Mudkip, though, in this matchup. We see that Annihilate and Mandibuzz matchup, Pancho kind of taking an early advantage here, being able to get the Annihilate out of play. But Mudkip's really relying on that Shadow Swampert, bringing it to both games that we've seen here so far, and really relying on that Hydro Cannon pressure. Most of the attacks that Swampert, most of the Pokemon that Swampert has been up against, the Mudshots aren't doing anything.
That's true, it's true. But I mean, it's really relying on, these Hydro Cannon, look, being able to throw it at basically anything on the team except for that Superior would have been really great for Mudkip there. Unfortunately for him not being able to do so in that matchup, but we have to wonder, will he bring it now into game 3, or has the pressure of being able to be like, okay, I know that my opponent is bringing Superior every game to counter my Swampert because it's so strong. Do I bring all my Superior counters for the last game?
Yeah, you really have to think, because Mudkips is running double flyer. Mudkips has both Skarmory and Altaria on the team. Could easily counter the Superior if he wanted to, but he's got to make that decision, because if you're bringing both of those flyers, you're weak to something like that Registeel. So you really have to weigh your options and think, what is Pancho going to do in this last matchup?
Yeah, and it's also hard because these trainers, you don't know if they've ever had a chance to play against each other before either. So if you're just looking at a team of 6, you're thinking, what is my opponent going to bring? And you're judging off of the playstyle that they had from the previous rounds. So if I was Pancho, I would be definitely bringing that Superior, thinking, okay, Swampert is going to be clearly in this game. Not the lineup that he is looking for, however. However, as the
蛮挨力的。
Stormer is now met against it, none of these attacks from the Superior was going to be doing that much. Swapping into the Mandibuzz to be met by the Guzzlord. We saw this at the beginning of Game 1. These Snarls are not doing much at all to the Guzzlord here, relying solely on these aerial aces, and I think Guzzlord's just going to start gobbling it up.
Yep, the cameraman down on the field having to jump backwards to get the Guzzlord into the field of view, and we are going to see Guzzlord, just like before, Mandibuzz is going to be throwing the aerial ace kind of back to back to back as soon as we get it, and then we are going to see the Guzzlord throwing Dragon Claws. Both of these Pokemon running a 3-turn fast attack, running Snarl on the Mandibuzz and Dragon Tail on the Guzzlord.
And as you can see, because of this as well, Panto's trying to time very well here, because every time you throw an attack and your opponent doesn't, their fast attack continues to go through there. So they threw at the same time last time so he wouldn't get extra Dragon Tails in. However, I think at this point he just wants to get as much damage off as possible, letting this aerial ace go through before the Dragon Claw was even going to be able to be deployed there. And now Mudkip is at 2 Dragon Claws. Should Panto want to shield one? Got another one coming for him straight after.
Yeah, so that we're going to allow this Dragon Claw to connect, but doesn't even knock the Mandibuzz out. Gives Mandibuzz a chance to get to another charge attack, but the Guzzlord is going to go first, so that energy is going down the drain, and down goes Mandibuzz. Panto have to decide what am I going to use here, and actually might be going for an aggressive lockdown down of the Guzzlord, going to have to come at the cost of a crunch, but that might be worth it for you, Pancho. Registeel really relies on that charge attack pressure. The problem, though, is Mudkip still has 2 shields. Registeel really prefers it when your opponent's shields are down.
I find this very interesting. Mudkip's coming in with the Skarmory, which has much less play against the Registeel than Altaria does. As we've seen, Altaria, even though it is a Dragon-type Pokemon and Registeel is a Steel, hence in the name, those Dragon Breaths just start to chunk away at it still, and neither the Zap Cannon nor the Focus Blast will be doing so much to that Pokemon in general. Like, at this point, I'm kind of wondering if Mudkip should have came in with Altaria and saved the Skarmory for it. Looks like he's going to go ahead and do it now. A fully healthy Altaria getting after a couple shields going down. This Zap Cannon now connecting.
Maybe just wanting to keep that information about the Altaria being in the back hidden for a little while longer. Wanting to get that shield, maybe trick you, Pancho, into shielding that Brave Bird. But here it is. There is the Superior. Has to come out at some point, and it's going to be facing one of 2 big counters on the team. We see Mudkip's going for a bit of an undercharge here.
Yeah, I like this play. I mean, not only has the attack been kind of debuffed from that Zap Cannon, now the undercharging Sky Attack wants to be able to come out of this matchup with a little bit of energy as well. Superior just doing everything it can to whittle away here. Going to go and throw an aerial ace. It does bring the Altaria down into the red, forcing Mudkip now to throw yet another. But here is the problem with Registeel. It relies solely on its charge attacks, and there is too much health left on this Altaria. It's still going to have to throw an attack to be able to take it out. Coming in with the Skarmory, this is interesting, but going ahead and now going to take a Zap Cannon. It looks like gotta use a shield at some point. Mudkip using it now.
Yeah, and again, because Registeel has to rely on these charge attacks, it has to get to a Zap Cannon, and Skarmory is going to outpace. Goes for the Sky Attack, not the Brave Bird, and is able to peel away that last shield. Pancho looking up at the sky, maybe doing some calculations and thinking, do I have any hope? Can I throw the Focus Blast? No, I have to throw this Zap Cannon. Is it going to be enough to knock this Skarmory out?
Even a little bit of an undercharge here. Once you try to get a farm, not going to be able to do it. It is a race to a charge attack here. Both of them shaking their heads, but the Dragon Breath is going to do it. Mudkip taking down your Pancho. Altaria, Registeel counter confirmed?
I guess. I really liked some of those undercharge. And Pancho, I'm wondering if there had been an opportunity to even undercharge that Zap Cannon even further, if that would have made a difference. I'm not so sure, though.
Yeah, this is a hard part about Registeel. And I say it almost every tournament because I heard Butter say it once and I find it so funny. But we know less about underchargers than we do about the depths of our oceans. So, I mean, the hard time sometimes is like, yeah, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to undercharge this because I want to get that perfect amount of farm to be able to throw that next charge attack. And then you undercharge it too much and you're not able to throw, and then end up throwing the game rather than the actual attack.
Yeah, so that would...
今天先这样啊，那个，看我最近真的剪片剪到有点，就跟你们讲一下，最近啊，可能那个就是上片的部分会延后一点， 会延后，会让我休息一段时间。我真的有点累了。你想打耐克啊？那就可是现在不太能飞了。你想打耐克，我不知道台湾，我真的不知道台湾今天到底有没有。我好像听到别人说没有，但是我今天好像被好友邀了，好像是台湾的，我不确定。那你想打的话就等那个时间，记得看一下活动时间，然后去打。哦，好啦，如果你们都没意见，我就先这样子啦。感觉你们应该也没差吧，反正